Why does Prince Harry think he was thrown under the bus? And what did Queen Camilla really think about her stepson's presence at the coronation? It goes without saying that the royal family drama has only increased since she and King Charles III donned their crowns. Prince Harry's drama with Camilla, Queen Consort, started way back in the 1990s. During this time, his parents, King Charles III and Princess Diana, were going through their excruciatingly public divorce, no thanks to Charles's scandalous affair with Camilla.
I would think that the top job, as I call it, would bring enormous limitations to him, and I don't know whether he could adapt to that.
Like many young children of separated parents, Harry struggled to process the breakdown of his family life. According to the book William and Catherine by royal expert Andrew Morton, when Diana headed to the Ludgrove school to explain the situation to her two sons, Harry seemed bewildered and almost indifferent. His initial confusion, however, was soon replaced by an all-too-deep sense of understanding. In his memoir, Spare, Harry recalled writing letters home from school saying, "I could barely remember when Pa and Mummy weren't divorced, so writing to them without touching on their mutual grievances, their messy breakup, required the finesse of a career diplomat." Harry grew to resent Camilla for her role in all that transpired. This was particularly evident during his 60 Minutes interview. Reflecting on his history with his stepmother, Harry shared, "She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage." Royal expert Tina Brown wrote in her book The Palace Papers that Harry spent his younger years icing Camilla out, saying, "When the younger boy was eventually prevailed upon to be in the presence of Mrs. Parker Bowles, he unnerved her with long silences and smouldering, resentful stares." In Spare, Harry opened up about the concerns he had regarding Camilla when he was a child, writing, "I recall wondering if she'd be mean to me, if she'd be like all the wicked stepmothers in storybooks." According to Harry, his older brother also had concerns over Camilla's influence on their father and her role in the family. Unlike his younger brother, however, William is understood to have moved on from these feelings. As Brown told The Telegraph, William has accepted Camilla in terms of what she means to his father. He's been grown up about it. The respective heir and spare to the British throne were said to struggle with the idea of accepting Camilla, Queen Consort, as their father's wife, even as King Charles III had already started planning their engagement. According to Spare, the young princes begged Charles not to marry her to no avail. Harry wrote, "Despite Willie and me urging him not to, Pa was going ahead. We pumped his hand, wished him well, no hard feelings. We recognised that he was finally going to be with the woman he loved, the woman he'd always loved." Charles never intended to ask William and Harry's permission to tie the knot with Camilla. The decision was the result of a much wider discussion within the palace about what to do about the couple's long-standing yet unofficial relationship. And by the time he talked to the boys, the matter was essentially settled. But Charles did have the sense of decency to clue his sons into his plans before they actually took place. During that fateful Christmas of 2004, Charles spoke to his mother and two sons about the next step in his relationship with Camilla. By New Year, Charles had proposed, and by February, the engagement was known to the world. It's no secret that British royals are expected to behave in a certain way. For instance, royal dinner parties are packed with rules about how to hold a knife in your right hand and when to stop eating, which is whenever the monarch stops eating. Meanwhile, daily life is full of protocol, which dictates everything from which colour nail polish is considered acceptable, beige of course, to how often you can use the word toilet. The answer to that is never. Given these rather intense standards, many of Prince Harry's adolescent antics were perceived as anti-royal rather than typical teenage rebellion, and the press worked hard to portray him as a poorly behaved teen. According to a written statement that Harry submitted in a lawsuit against the Mirror Group newspapers, Harry found himself so overwhelmed by the criticism that he lashed out at his father.
He's choosing a court case over the royal family. It's totally against the Queen's mantra, never complain, never explain.
During a blowout argument, Harry admitted that he verbally attacked Charles, telling his father that he had no right to lecture him on morals. Of course, this reference to Charles's affair reveals Harry's resentment towards the fact that his father had been permitted to commit adultery and still remain in relatively good standing with the public. Harry, meanwhile, was just a teenager, yet he was the one portrayed as a playboy prince. Prince Harry's hard feelings aside, the British people did eventually come to accept King Charles III and Camilla, Queen Consort. This was the result of a palace-wide campaign to improve Camilla's public image. As noted by Charles's former press secretary, Colleen Harris, the tabloid press had profited tremendously from the idea of Camilla as a sort of wicked witch. Speaking with Vanity Fair about this issue, Harris explained, "The media made a lot of money out of the story that Camilla was this evil, horrible person who ruined Diana's life and was ruining the children's lives, and they wanted that story to continue. The palace worked hard to present Camilla in a more human, relatable light, and the campaign was relatively successful. Sadly though, the strategy to improve the Queen Consort's reputation might have fed Harry's feud with Camilla. According to the prince, his stepmother actually leaked negative stories about him and his brother to the press as a way to boost her image. The prince wasn't thrilled with Camilla's post-engagement interactions with the press, writing in spare, "Stories began to appear everywhere in all the papers about her private conversation with Willie, stories that contained pinpoint accurate details, none of which had come from Willie, of course." Because of the alleged leaking of stories to the press, Prince Harry felt that Camilla had used him as a tool for self-promotion. This element of Harry's feud with Camilla was particularly evident in Spare, when the prince accused his father and stepmother of exposing his history of drug misuse to the world.
I mean, this guy seems to have had more drugs inside him than you could get in a chemist shop.
Harry claimed that in 2002, King Charles III and Camilla decided to inform the press that the prince would be spending time at a drug rehabilitation centre trying to get clean. Or, as the prince so eloquently put it, the couple threw him, quote, right under the bus. Apparently, the idea was to make the public see Charles as a more sympathetic figure. Harry also alleged that there were moments when his brother felt violated by Charles and Camilla's press strategy. According to Spare, after Prince William hit a particularly memorable snag with their father and stepmother in 2019, he was seething, actually. "I gathered Pa and Camilla's people had planted a story or stories about him and Kate and the kids." This reportedly infuriated William, who is said to have declared, "Give Pa and Camilla an inch, they take a mile." Ultimately, these interactions made Harry feel used. He wrote that Camilla's relationship with the tabloids impacted their relationship. "I had complex feelings about gaining a step-parent who, I believed, had recently sacrificed me on her personal PR altar." Of course, there are two sides to every story, and Camilla, Queen Consort, doesn't agree with her stepson's version of events. On the contrary, it's believed that she was caught quite off guard by the accusations Harry made in Spare. Her close friend, Fiona, the Marchioness of Lansdowne, told the Sunday Times that the Queen Consort was hurt by Harry's comments, saying, "Of course it bothers her. Of course it hurts." Unfortunately, Camilla wasn't the only person who suffered upon the publication of Spare. Charles is said to be extremely hurt by the way that his son publicly attacked the woman he loves. As one royal insider told Us Weekly, Charles is distraught. He's angry and outraged that Harry's aired so many embarrassing and damaging assertions. And it's put him in a terrible position with Camilla, of course, now that she's been dragged into the equation. To make things worse, it seems that Charles is overwhelmed by the sheer number of accusations that Harry has put forward. The same source claimed, "There are so many egregious comments and revelations from Harry that his father doesn't know where to start." It's perhaps unsurprising that Prince Harry was less than thrilled to watch his stepmother crowned queen. As noted by at least one royal insider, the prince has long struggled to accept Camilla's role in his father's life out of loyalty to his late mother, Princess Diana. After all, in Harry's eyes, it was Diana's destiny to become the Queen of England, not Camilla's.
She was one of the best examples of soft power that Britain possessed.
One anonymous, yet highly ranked palace official told Page 6, his mother was meant to be queen, and Camilla will always be the woman who led to his parents' divorce. Although it is, in some ways, sweet that Harry continues to defend his mother's right to the crown, Diana herself had conflicted feelings about taking the throne. In private tapes that she made for biographer Andrew Morton, Diana recalled the day that Charles proposed to her, saying, "He sat me down. He said, 'Will you marry me?' And I laughed. I remember thinking, this is a joke. So I said, 'Yeah, okay.' And he was deadly serious. And he said, 'You do realise that one day you will be queen.' A voice said to me inside, 'You won't be queen.'" Prince Harry has made it clear that he is not one to sweep family drama under the rug, prompting Camilla, Queen Consort, to keep the prince at bay. Apparently, she was far from thrilled to learn that Harry would be attending the coronation, as her interactions with him have been quite tense. One royal insider even told Radar that Camilla disagreed with King Charles III's decision to invite his son to the event, telling the outlet, "Camilla agrees with Prince William. This invitation was a spineless move, and Charles should have banished Harry and Meghan from the kingdom instead, sending the clear message their traitorous poison won't be tolerated." The insider went on to divulge that Camilla was concerned for how Harry's attendance would impact the image of the monarchy, stating, "She believes Charles's decision has weakened their popularity." Unfortunately, Camilla's drama with Harry may have had a negative impact on her marriage. It's been reported that Charles has grown displeased with his wife's strong stance on the Harry issue. The same unnamed source claimed, "Charles finds her behaviour disruptive and disrespectful. He's sick and tired of people questioning his decisions and trying to undermine him. Charles and Camilla are testy with each other. They can't sit and have a meal without arguing." Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, didn't show up at Ascot in 2023, and Camilla, Queen Consort, was not upset about it. The palace wanted Ascot to be a dignified occasion, separate from all the scandals that have rocked the royal family since Harry published his incendiary memoir. As one royal insider told Page Six, the gossip in the royal enclosure was how happy everyone was that Meghan and Harry weren't here. Apparently, King Charles III has chosen to support his wife in her choice to distance herself from the couple. Another inside source shared, "Camilla tells Charles the Sussexes make her uncomfortable, and Charles loves her unconditionally. He made her queen and will choose her well-being over them every time." This isn't the first time Camilla has faced bad press, and she's developed the mental toughness to deal with it all. During Princess Diana's divorce from King Charles III, Camilla was one of the most despised women in the United Kingdom. But, as one of her employees told Express, the Queen knows how to keep calm and carry on. If you think of all the years when she nearly had a bread roll thrown at her, how did she respond throughout that period? She was just really stoic. Fiona, the Marchioness of Lansdowne, explained Camilla's thought process, saying, "Her philosophy is always, don't make a thing of it and it will settle down. Least said, soonest mended." In other words, Camilla intends to wait for the drama to die down and then move on with her life.